Hi, my name is Mackenzie Parvin, and for my project, I'm looking at three people in different stages of adulthood, early, middle, and late. And we're going to look at how they kind of mash up, talk about when they think they reach their physical peak, their cognitive peak, their ideas on Levinson's theories, and whether that holds true for their own lives, and also a little bit about how gender norms have been enforced in their respective generations. Jake, he's 21 years old. He's a pretty active young man. He surfs, does yoga. He also is pretty conscious about his health. He's a like vegan and vegetarian type plant based diet. And we're just gonna ask him these questions.
In regards to the first question about my development physically, I do not think that I've reached my physical peak yet. I think in a couple more years, I'll get a little bit bigger and grow a little bit taller, and then I'll probably reach my physical peak at that point. Um, in terms of my sexual peak, I also think that I'll reach that in a couple more years. I know that's common for males to reach their peak around 25, and I think that would also be likely for me. In terms of society influencing gender roles and like marital status, I think my generation has pushed away from that aspect of society. Obviously, there's still an influence on gender roles and marital status just because of the long history that it has, but I think my generation is leaning towards being a little bit more open in terms of gender roles and not putting such an emphasis on marital status. Thank you.
A 40-year-old man, and he's a father. He's also active outside, musician. So cognitively, he's still thinking in complex patterns. And we're just gonna ask him some of the same questions we asked the first and third person.
All right. Do I think that I am in my physical peak? Absolutely not. Um, I do a lot of hiking and camping with my family. I have three kiddos, 10, 9, and 6. And I'm going on 42, and I'm still at that age where I just recently probably fell out of what I would say was being in decently physical shape about 5 or 6 years ago, to where I do stuff and I forget I shouldn't be doing that anymore. And then all of a sudden my back hurts or my knee hurts or my hip hurts. And that didn't happen 10 years ago. I don't even know if that really happened 7 years ago, but it seems to happen all the time now. So I'm definitely not in my physical peak. I would say probably my physical peak, truthfully, it was probably, 16 to 25. And then I stayed still decently in shape till about 35. And I'm still in good shape, but my body just doesn't hold up anymore. So that's what's changed now, turning almost 42 in August this year. So, all right, that's that. Does that work for you, Steve? Shane? Shane, yeah, Steve? Yeah, Shane yeah. / Steve? Do you think this diagram of...
Are you like in a...
What is this?
Are you like a... Do you consider yourself like past the point of like no return?
Oh, it's that. Yeah. God, this is of the personality thing. Definitely not. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of BS, to be honest. I feel like personalities evolve and change, in my experience, until you die. I guess there's stubborn people out there.
All right, so here's our last subject. Steve, he's a male, 66. He's a father of 3. And we're going to ask him the same questions. Whether he considers himself elderly in late adulthood and Levinson's theories, because he's kind of on that border of late adulthood and elderly. Whether he's noticed like any obvious physical or cognitive declines and when. And we're also going to see how gender roles are kind of different for his baby boomer generation than millennial and Generation Z that we saw earlier. So here's...
Okay. When do I think I reached my physical peak? In my early 30s. Do I consider myself elderly? No. Have you had any physical or cognitive decline? Yes. Eyesight, obviously. And then just through work and labor, shoulder aches, don't jump as high. But other than that, no. I feel great. Have gender roles changed? Oh, yeah. Gender roles have changed in my lifetime. Could we play it back?
So, kind of in conclusion, they all had a conventional view of when their physical peak was, like in their mid to late 20s. They all agreed that life is a little more complicated than Levinson's stages theory, and they all had kind of different ideas on how gender roles changed throughout the generations. So every generation that I interviewed, whether it be Generation X in the middle, Millennial, or maybe I guess Baby Boomer, all had kind of different thoughts as you'd expect when it came to gender roles. All right, thanks for watching.